To cringe is to have an inward feeling of acute embarrassment or awkwardness. Urban Dictionary defines cringe culture as the culture started on the internet of making fun of people and or insulting them by calling them cringy or cringe for doing something which doesn't essentially harm or somehow insult anyone nor anything. Hello, my name is Era, also known as Crane, and today I'm going to be ignoring all of that by creating some self-insert OCs for some popular anime. Self-insert original characters, if you don't know, are characters that are closely or loosely based on the creators that are inserted into a piece of media. This allows the creator to interact with the characters in a show as a form of wish fulfillment. In my own personal experience, self-insert OCs are somewhat important to me due to the fact that my very first original character was an Undertale self-insert that I made during primary school. I did make a story for her at the time. I don't quite remember it, so I won't be sharing it today. What I will be sharing today are a few self-insert OCs for 3 popular anime, namely My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, and Attack on Titan. So, for My Hero Academia, I think the most fitting thing to talk about first are quirks. In MHA, quirks are a superhuman ability that manifests in almost all of the population on Earth. Quirks are exclusive to every person, so no 2 people will have the same quirk. For my character, I brainstormed a list of quirks she could have, but ended up settling on photokinesis, the ability to control light. I feel as though this opens up a lot of potential because light in of itself is responsible for our sense of sight. Not only is she able to control brightness and what people see, but depending on if she's controlling just light or the actual photons themselves, she might even be able to control electromagnetic radiation, but I'm not qualified to get into that. In my process of character designing, the first thing I tend to do is word association. This allows me to think of key elements to the design fairly quickly. Associating light with words like sun, stars, fireflies, and auroras are a great brain exercise that allows me to visualize a character in my head. Making a mood board also helps with that. Now, while the video shows the drawing process of my character, I will introduce her to you. Hidaka Chizuru, first name Chizuru, last name Hidaka, is a first-year student of the General Education Department, Class 1C. Originally, I had considered her being a foreign exchange student, but scrapped the idea since I didn't think UAI had a foreign exchange program, and I also wanted her to be of Japanese descent. When deciding her name, the last name Hidaka stood out to me as it means sun or day. Chizuru, meaning 1,000 cranes, is a reference to me, of course. Chizuru's quirk, photokinesis, manifested at the age of 4, producing a blinding light while she was playing in her room alone. This light ended up alerting her parents in the next room and leaving her permanently blind. Her blindness influenced her entrance exam, preventing her from entering the hero's apartment. Thankfully, her persisting high grades allowed her to join Class 2B during her second year at UA High. In Class 2B, I think her quirk would pair quite well with Shiozaki Ibara and Yanagi Reiko in different ways. Shiozaki's quirk, Vines, is more stealthy, which would pair well with Chizuru's flashbangs as a form of distraction. With Yanagi, who has the quirk Poltergeist, Chizuru's quirk will allow her to conceal the objects Yanagi controls. I think her personality would be quite complacent. She tries hard to complement her teammates' quirks and skills while also standing out in her own way. Lastly, of course, is her hero name. Inspired by the Nightshade, her hero name is Brightshade, the photokinesis hero. Moving on, a character for Demon Slayer. The main thing to talk about is breathing style. In Demon Slayer, breathing styles, kokyuho, are swordsmanship styles used by the Demon Slayers. I did consider the idea of using an already existing breathing style, but ended up creating my own. Spirit breathing, seirei no kokyu, is a swordsmanship style that enhances and supports other demon slayers in a fight. I think this type of breathing style would be derived from water breathing, but I'm not that sure. Words that I associated with spirits included ghost, mystique, memento mori, loss, and inevitability. The name of the slayer is Yoshinaga Mae. First name Mae, last name Yoshinaga. Yoshi meaning good luck and Naga meaning eternal. Ma meaning true and E meaning eternity. The persistence in eternity in her name is a reference to how death is inevitable and eternal. Yoshinaga is an orphan with a sickly little brother. She joined the demon slayers to protect her younger brother, Yoshinaga Afuru. Her final selection was the same as Ai Kazaki and Moichiro Tokido. Although she probably went into the final selection alone, I'd like to think she ended up befriending Ai and made a practice of visiting Ai at the Butterfly Mansion. After the final selection, I'd like her to become Tomioka Gyu Sunguko through application. I think her being a Sunguko would be interesting for her character-wise. Yoshinaga's design, inspired by the wisteria tree, is supposed to allow her to blend into the background. The lavender blue colors are meant to provide mystique towards the watcher. I designed her to wear pants instead of a skirt due to her breathing style, which has a somewhat dance-like quality to it. The hakama pants that I drew her in are wide and allow a large range of movements while also looking very ethereal during battle. Instead of a typical Nichirin sword, Yoshinaga uses a Japanese polearm called a naginata, which allows her a more supportive range of movements in battle. I'd like her to wear a wisteria flower by her belt and in her hair to help her in combating demons. In terms of personality, I think she would be quiet but excitable in things she enjoys. Like Chizuru, she'd be quite complacent and go with the flow. Last but certainly not least is Attack on Titan, which is actually my all-time favorite anime. Let's not talk about season 4. Although it's my favorite, I actually have the least amount of notes for this anime. The characters in AoT are designed quite realistically, so I didn't do word association and just designed a pretty normal person. The name Lucia Bierman is what I settled on. Lucia, the female variation to Lucius, means light, but it's more of a reference to Saint Lucia of the 4th century Syracuse, who was the saint of the blind. Lucia Bierman, in reference, is shown resolved in guiding the audience to safety. Lucia was part of the 104th Cadet Corps and befriended the main group. Due to my non-existent athletic ability, I don't think she'd be proficient at all at using the omnidirectional maneuver gear, so she probably wouldn't be part of the top 10. There goes her chance at joining the police brigade. I think she'd also probably die in the Survey Corps. That would mean she'd be part of the garrison regiment along with Flock Forster. Also, Lucia would probably idolize Riko Brzezinska since she's part of the elite forces. Lucia resides in Wal Maria and was friends with Eren, Mikasa, and Armin, and joined their little adventures sometimes during childhood. During the breach of Wal Maria, she would be taken to Wal Rose by Riko early on and lose contact with the main three until she joined the armed forces later. With that, all 3 characters have been created. This was a fun challenge for me and I enjoyed being able to create these characters, although I'm sure they're not as interesting or as amazing as a lot of other original characters that other people have created. I hope that you guys still enjoyed watching me write them and create them into the story. I'll try better next time. Bye-bye!